All right, I'm sorry, baby. So first of all, ISM book 10.5 gear notes. If you want to go ahead and put 10.5 vocabulary list 3, you can. The people at home are putting that because that's what they're doing this afternoon. So the first thing that I want you to do is I want you to copy this down so that when we talk about it, you won't be kind of consumed with it. So what I did is I just pretty much wrote down the important facts that you need to know, okay? So when we're talking about gears and they're asking for gear ratio over 1 is the number out divided by the number in. When we're talking about number, we're talking about a number of teeth, okay? If the question asks you what the speed of the gear is, you're still going to do gear ratio over 1, but this time you're going to do that W in and W out. W stands for angular velocity of speed. Okay? When we're talking about torque, we're going to do gear ratio over 1, T out divided by T in, and that would equal torque. When we're talking about gears, we're talking about a change in speed of rotation, change the direction of the rotation, and change of the amount of torque available to do work. When we're talking about mating gears, we're talking they have the same teeth, but turn in opposite directions. When we talk about idle gear, allows the driver and to be the driven gear to rotate in the same direction. And the one on the on the right-hand side are just your variables that we just went in that talked about how to do those. This is a sample question that we're going to go over together today. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start on 1.15. We're going to do the first 7 questions today on gear ratio and on gears. Mm-hmm. When you get finished, you just turn yourself around to there for me, just for a minute, please, ma'am. Okay, so here is the ratio that they have on the computer. So what they did is I just took that and I just copied it right here to the front. Turn this around. Fantastic. Okay, so if we look, now that we know what the variables are, remember we have subscript of in and out. These are the red ones, which are the, sorry, I forgot to touch this. This is the red ones, and it referenced this red one up here, okay? The blue represents the blue here. So it makes sense. How do we find in the letter N, the number? How do we find that? Count how many teeth. So if I did the red one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You see where I got the 6 from? Okay, the blue one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's where I got that one from. Where do we get D from? Diameter. This one actually told us, right? We have 2 inches and 4 inches. If you didn't have it, what would you do if you had to find it? If you did not know the diameter of, say, this gear, how would you find it? With a ruler. You just measure it across, right? That would tell you how many inches of the diameter of this gear is, okay? How about WN? What's that? How fast does it go? How do we know that? Because it's got the arrow and the rotation. This one is going 20 RPM. Is this clockwise or counterclockwise? Clockwise. Counterclockwise is the one here, which is the red, is the 40. So what they do is you just write this down. How do they find the T? How do they find the torque of this?
Sorry, that was my.
It's okay. Most of the time, it will tell you what the torque is on the questions that you're doing. Okay? So let's now look at the handout we have in front of us. Go ahead and pull that out. You'll need your calculator open. Everybody have the handout. Okay, the first thing that I want you to do is I want you to use your board, your paddle board, and I want you to draw me what this gears look like that's on here, okay? So draw me the gears that you've got. So in the sample problem, it tells us that a simple gear train is composed of 3 gears. Gear A is driven with 8 teeth. Gear B is driven with 24 teeth. And gear C is 16 teeth. It says sketch and annotate the gears, train, and describe above. So draw yours 3 gears, please. Label which ones they are. We'll do the same. You're good. You go ahead and draw numbers. Perfect. Draw your numbers. It's okay. I wanted you to practice first, but it looked like you had it. Good. Okay. Remember the calculator I want you to pull up is which one? The one that's online with the bunny. You gotta practice using that because that's what you're gonna be using for your test. I'll borrow this for a second so I can get this thing out. Let's see. There you go. Sorry. Okay. Go ahead and do the next one, Kate, if you're ready. When you get that one drawn, go ahead and start doing the next problem. See if you can figure out which equation you're going to use. How do you not have a bunny on yours? That's a weird looking TIA for. Okay. Fantastic. There we go. That was good. Yes, sir. All right, so the next one tells us an output for speed. So which one are we going to use for output? We're going to do gear ratio, speed, or torque? Gear ratio, okay? So that is dr over 1 equals N out over N in, right? Which one are we using? This is my in. This is my out. Do you agree? Okay. So we're going to do 16 over 8, what equals 2 over 1. So my dr over 1 equals 2 over 1. So my ratio is 2 to 1. And this is my answer. Is that what you got?
Sure.
I read their numbers on that one.
I didn't get to do it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I will try to slow down for you. I forget
I was
it's
just focusing
Monday.
on the years.
Yeah, it's Monday. So the question that I ask you, does this make sense? I think gears are a whole lot easier than simple machines. So far, right? Everybody good? All right, flip your paper over. Now we're going to try to do number 3. It's asking if gear A rotates at 60 RPMs, how fast does gear C rotate? Which one do you think we're going to use for that one? Speed. So we're going to do GR over 1 equals W in over W out. Okay, I'll give you a second or two to figure out what the numbers you're going to use is. What's my GR1? That's right. Isn't that what that says? GR1? Okay, so my GR1 is 2 to 1 equals, okay, what is my win in and my win out? So it tells us that it rotates at how fast? 60 RPMs. Because we changed the numbers now, right? Okay, what is my W out? We don't know, because we're looking for will C, right? Because we got A, now we're looking for C. All right, so how do we do this? Well, we're gonna do our 60s RPM. We're gonna do that over. 60 times 1 is 60. 2, okay? So it's going to be over 2, because we're looking for WC, right? Okay? So what is our number? 30. So our WC equals 30. Everybody good?
Is there a unit behind it?
Well, RPM is what I would put, because that's what it's asking for, right? Thank you, man. Everybody good so far? Okay, so let's look at the next one. Ask us, if the output of the torque of the gear C is 150 pounds, what is the input torque of gear A? Which one are we going to use this time? Torque. So, GR over 1 equals, and we have torque out over torque in. Okay? So what's our GR? 1? Still 2 over 1, right? Okay. What's our torque out or torque in? Which one does it give us?
Out.
Out, okay? So we're gonna do 150 foot per pound over torque in, which would be torque A. So we're looking for torque A. I'm gonna give you a few minutes.
I know that. I forgot to make calculator on. It's not working.
Yeah, you gotta turn it on.
Okay.
All right, so what's TA?
It's, are you asking what the answer is?
Yep, what the answer?
75
75, what's my units?
feet per pound.
Feet per pound. Yay. Okay. Go ahead and go down to the next one. Says a compound gear train is composed of 4 gears, A, B, C, and D. Gear A has 10 teeth and is meshed with gear B. Gear B has 20 teeth and share a shaft with gear C that has 16 teeth, and gear C is meshed with gear D. Output gear power is supplied by gear A at 100 foot per pound torque and is traveling at 1,600 RPM. So let's practice drawing it. If you have a pencil, if you feel like you're ready to go, draw it on your paper. If you think you need to practice, use it on the board. Nope. Nope. Right there, where you gonna draw your C at?
Mhm.
Where you gonna draw your C at?
Right here.
Nope. Okay. Stop for a second, put your markers and stuff down, because I see where you're going, and this one's different. How is this different? What wording do we have that's different? Meshed, okay. So what's that saying is A is by itself. B is beside it, right? But C is meshed inside. Okay? And then D is connected to C, right? Okay? So when you see something that says meshed, or better yet, shares a shaft. When we're talking about sharing a shaft, we're talking about the shaft is the center part of this gear right here. This is the shaft. So if it's sharing a shaft, that means that the shaft goes through that. There is right here 3 gears on this one shaft. Okay? And so when it says sharing a shaft, that means they're stacked on top of each other.
How many feet is D?
I don't believe it told us, because we don't know yet. So, A has a number of 10, right? B has 20, C has 16, and D, we don't have a clue yet. So does yours look like that? A, B, C on top of B, and D is hooked up to C. Okay? What other thing do we need to annotate here besides that? Yep. So gear A is 100 foot per pound. And then the other one, it travels at 1,600 RPM. And you can just put it on the corner, because see what I did? I just put it on the corner just to let me know that my annotation tells me what it is. All right, so now what we're doing now is just where there is a nested gear and there's a multiple gears, right? So what is the first thing that's asking us for the equation? Necessary torque output of the system is 500 feet per pound. What should the gear ratio be? So which one are we using?
Oh, yeah, gear ratio.
Yep, but we are going to be using the torque. You are right, sir. So that's gear ratio over 1 equals torque out on torque in. Because it's telling us that the torque output was 500 pounds, and it's asking you for the gear ratio of that. Okay? Where's my torque in and where's my torque out here? Or better yet, where is my number of teeth in and number of teeth out? This is my in, right? Number in, or you can just write in. This is my out. So what is it looking for? The torque in. What is my torque in? Right, 100 feet per pound. And then it told us in the paper how many torque out it was, right? What is my torque out? Correct, 500 feet per pound. Okay? We divide those, what do we get? Okay, so my gear ratio is 5 over 1, which would be 5 to 1 ratio. Is this starting to make sense? Flip over to the next page. We got one more problem to do. So problem number 7 says, what system torque output of 500 feet, how many teeth should gear D have? So we know we have a 10, we know we have 16, we have a 20, and now we're trying to find how many teeth. Okay, so what do we need to use to do that with?
You need to use torque to find the teeth.
Well, we're looking for teeth. That would be N, right?
Oh.
We would use this one,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so GR over 1 equals number out over number in. Okay, what was my gear ratio to start with? Okay.
It's 5. Right. Yeah, 5.
So first of all, let's see about our gear ratio was 5 to 1. Okay, what's my number out? We don't know. What's my number in?
10.
Okay,
50. Right. That's not 50, say that out loud.
so how many teeth do I have for D?
50.
50.
Okay, there you go. And that is it today for here. So if you want to leave all this stuff here, you can. So what you need to do is you need to go to your computer and study your vocabulary list number 2 because you're taking your quiz. Those of you that are online, what you should be doing is you will need to get off of here. You will need to go and find your vocabulary words for this week, which was at least 3, and go ahead and do that. So on your table of contents at home, you should have 10-5 gear notes and 10 fine vocabulary list 3. The notes that are included is what we talked about today that's on this paper here. And make sure you have your answers to this sheet. Those of you that are here, you will need to take a picture of these 2 pages and attach it to today's assignment. Okay, everybody good?